The space station called Seven floated in the darkness between stars. It was a place where many alien races came to trade goods and do business. Thousands of ships docked here every day. Millions of beings walked through its metal halls. The station belonged to no single race. It was neutral ground, a place of peace and commerce. Commander stood at Customs Processing Bay 14. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with gray skin covered in small scales. Her eyes were large and black, split into many sections like an insect. 4 arms hung from her shoulders, each ending in 3 sharp fingers. She belonged to the race, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Hated her job. She hated standing here, checking papers and scanning cargo, but most of all she hated humans. The humans had joined the Galactic Council only 30 years ago. They came from a small planet called Earth, a world so dangerous that other races called it earthquakes shook their ground, storms tore across their lands, predators hunted in their forests, disease killed millions, and yet somehow humans survived. They grew strong. They built cities and machines. They reached the stars. Now they spread across the galaxy like water spreading across a floor. They adapted to every world. They learned every trade. They made friends with races that had been enemies for thousands of years. Many elder races welcomed them. Was not one of those races. She watched a human family approach her checkpoint. The father walked in front. He was average height for a human with black hair and calm eyes. His name was, and he worked as a merchant captain, moving goods between star systems. Behind him walked his wife. She had a gentle face and wore the badge of a scientist who studied alien life. Between them walked their daughter. The girl was small, maybe 7 Earth years old. Her name was. She had her mother's gentle eyes and her father's black hair, tied in 2 short tails. In her arms she held a stuffed animal, some kind of earth creature with long ears. She looked around the station with wonder, her small mouth open in amazement at the aliens passing by. Felt her hatred grow stronger. "Papers," she demanded, her voice harsh and clicking. Handed over their documents with a polite nod. "Here you are, Commander. Everything should be in order." Looked at the papers. They were perfect. Every stamp was correct. Every signature was valid. There was no reason to stop this family. But she wanted to. "These documents are suspicious," lied. "You will need to pay an additional inspection fee, 500 galactic credits." His eyes narrowed slightly. He knew this was illegal. The neutral station had clear rules about customs fees, but he kept his voice calm and respectful. "I apologize, Commander, but I believe our documents are complete. The standard fee has already been paid. I see no reason for additional charges." Leaned forward, her 4 arms spread wide, trying to make herself look bigger, more threatening. "Are you arguing with me, human?" "I am simply stating the law, Commander." Around them, other humans in the customs bay began to notice. A merchant loading cargo stopped his work. An engineer waiting in line turned to watch. A family with 2 teenagers fell silent. They all recognized what was happening. They had all seen it before, on many worlds, in many situations. An alien using power to bully humans because they were new to the galaxy. Little tugged at her father's sleeve. "Why is the bug lady angry?" The words were innocent, a child's simple question, but heard them and her rage exploded. "Bug lady," she hissed, "you dare insult me, you disgusting creature." Her arm moved fast, faster than could react. The back of her scaled hand struck across the face. The blow was strong enough to lift the small girl off her feet. She flew backward and crashed onto the metal floor. Her stuffed animal tumbled away. Blood poured from her nose and a cut on her cheek. For one moment, the entire customs bay went silent. Screamed and ran to her daughter. She gathered the crying girl in her arms, pressing cloth against the wound. "Baby, look at me. Look at Mommy." Stood completely still. His face had changed. The calm merchant captain was gone. Something else looked out through his eyes now. Something cold, something ancient, something that remembered when humans hunted animals 10 times their size across frozen plains. But he did not move. He did not attack. He simply watched with those cold, cold eyes. Laughed, her mandibles clicked together in what passed for a smile among her race. Know your place, you are nothing. Your race is nothing. You are guests in our galaxy, and you will show proper respect to your betters. She turned to the other humans watching. Let this be a lesson. Humans are weak. Humans are soft. You crawled out of your death-trap world and think you belong among the stars. You belong in the dirt. No human responded. They simply watched her. Dozens of eyes, all carrying that same cold light. Station cameras recorded everything from multiple angles. Felt a small shiver pass through her scales. Something about those silent stares disturbed her, but she pushed the feeling away. What could humans do? They were bound by Galactic Council law. Any attack on her would bring punishment on their entire race. She waved her hand dismissively. Get out of my sight, take your bleeding whelp and go. Finally moved, he walked to his wife and daughter. Gently he took from his arms and held her close. The little girl sobbed against his shoulder, blood staining his shirt. She whimpered, "It hurts. Why did she hurt me? I didn't do anything bad." Stroked her hair. His voice was soft, meant only for her. "I know, baby, I know, you did nothing wrong. Some people are just cruel." He began walking toward the exit. Followed, her hands shaking with rage and fear. Other humans stepped aside to let them pass. Many bowed their heads in respect. Several reached out to touch his shoulder briefly, a silent message passing between them. "We saw, we remember, we are with you." As the family disappeared into the station corridors, one human remained behind. An old woman with gray hair and cybernetic eyes that recorded everything in perfect detail. She transmitted the video to a secure server. Within 1 hour, it would reach Earth. Within 6 hours, every human in the galaxy would see it. And Commander, laughing at her checkpoint, had no idea that she had just made the worst mistake of her very long life. The video spread like fire through dry grass. It moved through human networks faster than light itself. Every colony, every ship, every station where humans lived received the file. They watched in silence as a 7-year-old girl was struck by an alien officer. They watched blood pour from her small face. They watched her parents stand helpless, knowing that any response would bring the Council's punishment upon all humanity. On Earth in the city of Seoul, an old grandmother watched the video on her kitchen screen. She had survived wars. She had lived through plagues. She had seen humanity reach the stars. And now she wept not from sadness but from rage. On Mars Colony 7, miners stopped their work. They gathered around a single screen in their break room. No one spoke. No one needed to. Their clenched fists said everything. On the frontier world of Nu, farmers looked up from their crops. The message reached even here, in this distant corner of human space. A father held his own daughter and felt something dark stir in his heart. Admiral received the video in his office aboard the battleship Righteous Storm. He was 63 years old, a career military man who had served humanity for 4 decades. He had gray hair cut short, a face marked by old scars, and eyes that had seen too much death. He watched the video 7 times. Each time his jaw tightened a little more. Each time the cold fury in his chest grew stronger. His aide, a young officer named, stood at attention nearby. She had watched it too. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. "Sir, the official channels are receiving thousands of messages. Citizens are demanding a response. Several colony governors have already contacted the council." Nodded slowly. "And what does the council say?" Hesitated. "The preliminary response arrived 10 minutes ago, sir." She handed him a data pad, read the message in silence. His expression did not change, but saw his knuckles turn white as he gripped the device. The official statement from the Galactic Council read, After review of the incident at 7, the Council finds that Commander of the Hegemony acted within acceptable disciplinary parameters when addressing a potential security threat. The human child's comment was deemed provocative and inappropriate. No further action is required. Case dismissed. Set the pad down very carefully, as if afraid he might crush it in his hands. Acceptable disciplinary parameters, he repeated softly. A grown alien officer strikes a 7-year-old girl, and they call it acceptable. Sir, the public response is growing. There are protests forming on 12 colonies. Several human shipping companies have already stopped trading with worlds. That is not enough. Looked at him. She knew that tone. She had heard it before, years ago, when pirates had attacked a human refugee ship. The Admiral had not rested until every pirate was dead. Sorry. Stood and walked to his window. Stars filled the darkness outside, thousands of points of light representing thousands of worlds. Humanity had spread far since leaving Earth. They had built colonies, made alliances, joined the galactic community. They had tried so hard to be good neighbors. But the galaxy kept reminding them that good neighbors could still be victims. The Council thinks we are weak, said. They think that because we follow their laws, because we sign their treaties, because we smile and trade and cooperate, that we have forgotten what we are. He turned to face. Do you know why they call us Lieutenant? Because Earth is classified as a high-danger planet, sir. Extreme weather, predators, diseases, natural disasters. Yes, and do you know what that means? It means every human alive is descended from survivors. Our ancestors lived through ice ages that killed entire species. They hunted animals that could tear them apart with a single blow. They built civilizations while the ground shook beneath their feet and fire fell from the sky. His voice grew harder. We did not conquer our world by being gentle. We did not reach the stars by being soft. The Council sees our kindness and mistakes it for weakness. They need to be reminded that kindness is a choice, not a limitation. He pressed a button on his desk. A secure channel opened, connecting to a ship that did not officially exist. Captain, he said, I have a mission for you. The response came through scrambled and encrypted. I saw the video, Admiral. My crew is ready. The Council has abandoned justice. You know what that means? Yes, sir, the hunt begins. Closed the channel and sat back in his chair. He looked at the data pad again, at the Council's dismissive response. They would learn. Across human space, other messages were being sent. Secret channels lit up with coded communications. Men and women who officially worked normal jobs received orders from people they had never met. A network that existed in shadows, maintained for moments exactly like this, came alive. On colony worlds, reservists checked weapons they had not touched in years. On merchant ships, crews altered their routes to pass through space. Intelligence operatives began gathering information on Commander, her schedule, her security, her habits. None of this was official. None of this would ever appear in any government record. If asked, every human leader would deny knowledge of any operation. But humanity had learned long ago that some justice could not come from courts and councils. Some justice had to be taken by quieter means. In a medical center on 7, Little slept in her mother's arms. Her face was bandaged, her nose set properly, the cuts sealed with medical gel. She would heal. Children always healed. Stroked her daughter's hair and hummed an old Korean lullaby. Sat nearby, staring at his hands. What happens now? Whispered. Looked at his sleeping daughter, at her bandaged face, at the bruises already forming on her soft skin. Now, he said quietly, humanity reminds the galaxy why they should never touch our children. Shivered, she had known her husband for 15 years. She had never heard that tone in his voice before. In her sleep murmured something. Her small hand reached out, searching for her stuffed animal. A nurse had cleaned it and returned it to her. She pulled it close and settled again, peaceful despite everything. The galaxy turned, uncaring. Stars burned. Ships flew. Aliens went about their business, unaware that something had changed. They were no longer just surviving. They were hunting. The stealth ship Silent Thunder moved through space like a ghost. No sensors could detect it. No scanners could find it. It was painted in materials that absorbed light and energy, making it invisible against the black void between stars. Captain stood on the bridge, watching the stars slide past. She was 42 years old, with short black hair and eyes that never seemed to blink. Before joining the Shadow Fleet, she had been a Special Forces commander. She had fought in 3 border conflicts and conducted dozens of operations that officially never happened. She was very good at her job. "Report," she said. Her second-in-command, a tall man named, pulled up a holographic display. "Commander has been transferred to Prime. She received a promotion for, and I quote, maintaining order against aggressive alien elements." A promotion. His voice was flat. She beat a child bloody and received a promotion. The government released a statement praising her courage in facing dangerous. She is being treated as a hero. Nodded slowly. What is her current security status? Light. She lives in an administrative compound on the western continent. 12 guards on rotating shifts. Standard security systems. Nothing special. They think they are safe. Yes, Captain. They believe the Council's ruling protects them. They believe humans will accept the decision and move on. Almost smiled. Almost. Show me the compound layout. The hologram shifted, displaying a building complex surrounded by gardens and walls. Pointed out guard positions, camera locations, patrol routes. Everything had been mapped by human intelligence operatives over the past 2 weeks. Entry points. Several options. Rooftop access here, utility tunnels here, and a weakness in the eastern wall where maintenance crews enter. The maintenance route, that is our way in. Nodded. Has already prepared the disguises and false credentials. We can pass as contractors easily enough. Their biometric systems are good but not perfect. Studied the layout for a long moment. The mission is capture, not kill. I want her alive. Understood, the team knows. Good, we drop in 4 hours. Make sure everyone is ready. The crew of the Silent Thunder prepared with quiet efficiency. Weapons were checked. Disguises were fitted. Equipment was tested. No one spoke more than necessary. They all knew what was at stake. 4 hours later, a small shuttle descended through the atmosphere of Prime. It carried registration codes identifying it as a maintenance vehicle from a legitimate company. The codes were perfect because they had been stolen from the company's own systems 3 days earlier. Piloted the shuttle while monitored communications. Behind them sat 4 more operatives, including a large man who carried a traditional Korean sword at his side. The blade had been in his family for 8 generations. It had tasted blood before. Landing zone clear, reported. Guard patrol just passed. We have a 12-minute window. The shuttle touched down silently. The team moved out like shadows, crossing the compound grounds with practiced ease. They had trained for operations like this hundreds of times. They had conducted operations like this dozens of times. They were very good at their jobs. Reached the eastern wall first. His fingers flew across a small device, bypassing the security lock in 43 seconds. The door slid open without a sound. Inside, the compound was quiet. Most staff had gone home for the night. Only skeleton security remained, and they were concentrated around the main building. Commander's quarters were in a separate structure, a reward for her elevated status. She lived alone, attended by service robots that cleaned and cooked for her. Disabled the building's internal sensors with a localized jamming device. The security system never knew they were there. Led the way to his bedroom. The door was not even locked. Why would it be? She was safe on her, protected by the might of the hegemony, shielded by the Galactic Council's ruling. She had nothing to fear. Until now. Woke to find 6 humans standing around her bed. She tried to scream, but a hand clamped over her mouth before any sound could escape. She tried to fight, but her arms were pinned and bound before she could move. Within 30 seconds, the mighty commander was tied to a chair in her own quarters, a gag in her mouth, surrounded by. Pulled up a chair and sat facing her. She held a small device that projected a holographic image. The image showed a little girl with blood running down her face. "Do you remember her?" asked softly. His compound eyes focused on the image. Recognition flickered in their depths, and something else, something that might have been the beginning of fear. Her name is, she is 7 years old. She likes stuffed animals and sweet rice cakes. She wants to be a scientist like her mother when she grows up. Leaned closer. She called you a bug lady because she is a child and she did not know better. Children say things like that. They do not understand how words can hurt. They are innocent. She turned off the image. You are not innocent. You knew exactly what you were doing when you hit her. You wanted to hurt her. You wanted to hurt her parents. You wanted to show all humans that they were beneath you. Stood and walked slowly around his chair. The Galactic Council says you did nothing wrong. They say your actions were acceptable. They dismissed our complaint and gave you a promotion. She stopped behind. But we do not accept their ruling. We do not accept that hurting our children has no consequences. We do not accept that aliens can abuse humans without punishment. She leaned down, her mouth close to his ear. So we came to deliver justice ourselves. Made sounds behind her gag. They might have been protests. They might have been pleas. They might have been threats. It did not matter. You will have a trial, continued. You will see the evidence against you. You will have a chance to speak. We are not savages. We believe in justice, real justice, not the mockery the council offered. She walked back to face directly. But I will be honest with you, Commander. The evidence is very clear. The verdict is almost certain, and the sentence for harming a human child, unprovoked in a place of peace, is death. For the first time, true terror filled his eyes. She had laughed when she struck Little. She was not laughing now. The trial took place in a small room aboard the Silent Thunder. It was not a grand courtroom with judges in fine robes. It was not a spectacle for the public to watch. It was 6 humans, 1 alien, and the truth. Commander sat bound to a chair, her gag removed so she could speak. Around her stood the crew that had captured her. Captain served as the judge, presented the evidence. The others watched in silence. This tribunal will now hear the case against Commander of the Hegemony, began. The charge is assault against a human child, unprovoked, resulting in serious injury. The incident occurred at Customs Processing Bay 14 on Station 7. Activated a holographic display. The video played, showing every detail of that terrible moment, demanding illegal fees, refusing politely, Little asking her innocent question, and then the blow captured from 4 different angles. The evidence is clear, said. The child made no threatening movement. She carried no weapon. She simply asked a question using language that a child would use. Commander responded with violence. Hissed through her mandibles. That creature insulted me. She called me a bug. Among my people, such disrespect demands punishment. His expression did not change. Among your people, perhaps, but you were not on you were on neutral territory bound by council law, and council law does not permit officers to strike children for asking questions. The council ruled in my favor. The council is corrupt. The council protects those with power and abandons those without. The council failed in its duty to deliver justice, so that duty falls to us. His voice rose higher. You cannot do this. I am a citizen of the hegemony. My government will demand my return. There will be war. Perhaps, his voice remained calm. Or perhaps your government will look at what you did and decide that one officer's life is not worth fighting. Perhaps they will remember that humans evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day, and they survived anyway. She leaned forward. Do you know what makes humans dangerous, Commander? It is not our strength. Many races are stronger. It is not our speed. Many races are faster. It is not our technology. We are newcomers who borrowed much of what we have. Her eyes locked with. What makes us dangerous is that we never give up, we never forget, and we never ever allow harm to our children without consequence. Yours is safe, your cities are comfortable, your life is easy. Our ancestors survived ice ages with nothing but sharp sticks and fire. That survival instinct is still in our blood. It will never leave. She stood back. You have heard the evidence. You have had a chance to speak. Do you have anything else to say in your defense? His body trembled. Her bravado had faded during the trial. She had seen the cold determination in these humans' eyes. She had finally understood that they were not making empty threats. Please, she whispered. I was wrong. I should not have hit the child. I was angry and I lost control. Please have mercy. Considered her words for a long moment. If you had said that immediately after the incident, perhaps things would be different. If you had apologized to the family, accepted punishment under council law, shown any remorse at all, we might not be here. She shook her head. But you laughed. You called humans weak. You accepted a promotion. You became a hero to your people for beating a 7-year-old girl. Mercy was possible once. That time has passed. She turned to the crew. The verdict. One by one they spoke. Guilty, said. Guilty, said. Guilty, said each member of the crew. The verdict is unanimous. His voice was heavy. Commander, you are found guilty of assault against a human child. The sentence is death. Screamed, she begged. She threatened. She promised anything, everything, if only they would spare her life. Stepped forward. He drew the sword that had been in his family for 8 generations. The blade caught the light, clean and sharp. I take no pleasure in this, he said quietly, but justice must be done. May whatever gods you believe in have more mercy than you showed to a little girl. The blade fell. 3 days later, the Galactic Council gathered for their monthly assembly. The chamber was enormous, built to hold representatives from hundreds of races. Crystalline pillars rose toward a ceiling painted with stars. Floating platforms carried delegates from species that could not survive in standard gravity. The Council of 12 sat at the highest level, the elder races who had ruled the galaxy for millions of years. They were proud. They were powerful. They believed nothing could challenge their authority. At dawn, the guards found a package on the steps of the chamber. It was a traditional Korean wooden box, carved with patterns of mountains and rivers. Inside, resting on silk cloth, was Commander's head. Her compound eyes were frozen open, forever staring at nothing. Beside the box lay a single document, written in perfect galactic standard. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive unprovoked violence against our children. Your laws failed. Your justice was a mockery, so we delivered our own. This is not an act of war. This is not an act of aggression. This is simply a statement of fact. Those who harm human children will face human justice, no matter where they hide, no matter who protects them. Consider this our only warning. Touch our young again, and no corner of this galaxy will hide you from the wrath. The document bore no signature, no government seal, no official mark of any kind. Only a simple image at the bottom, a blue and green planet floating alone in the darkness of space. Earth. Panic erupted in the chamber. Delegates screamed. Security forces rushed to investigate. Emergency sessions were called. Military commanders demanded immediate retaliation against humanity. but old ambassador of the most ancient race in the council, raised his trembling appendage for silence. "I warned you," he said, his voice barely a whisper. 30 years ago, when the humans first requested membership, I warned you all. I told you these were not prey animals who had stumbled into space. I told you these were apex predators who had learned to smile and shake hands." He looked at the wooden box, at the head inside it. "You did not listen. You thought your laws would control them. You thought your power would frighten them. You forgot the most important lesson in the galaxy." His ancient eyes swept across the chamber. "Never threaten us, child." The galaxy held its breath. For 3 weeks after the head was delivered, tensions ran higher than they had in centuries. The hegemony demanded blood. Their fleets gathered at the borders of human space. Their politicians gave angry speeches about human savagery. The Galactic Council debated for days. Some members called for sanctions against humanity. Others demanded military intervention. A few suggested that perhaps, just perhaps, the Council shared some blame for dismissing the original assault so carelessly. Those members were shouted down. Admiral watched the chaos from his command ship. Human fleets had quietly moved into defensive positions. Colony shields were raised. Civilian ships were recalled to safe harbors. Humanity was ready for war if war came. But did not want war. No sane person wanted war. He had seen enough death in his 63 years. He had buried enough friends. He just wanted the galaxy to understand. The Council finally requested a formal address. They wanted to hear from humanity directly. They wanted explanations, apologies, promises that nothing like this would ever happen again. Accepted the invitation, but he had no intention of apologizing. The holographic projector hummed to life, connecting the righteous storm to the Grand Council chamber across hundreds of light years. His image appeared before the assembled delegates, 40 feet tall, filling the center of the massive room. And standing beside him, holding his hand, was Little. Her face had healed. The cuts had faded to faint scars that would disappear completely with time. But she stood straight and proud, wearing a simple dress, looking at the alien delegates with no fear in her eyes. The chamber fell silent. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," began, his voice calm and measured. "You asked for an explanation. Here it is." He gestured too. "This child is 7 years old. She has committed no crimes. She has harmed no one. She simply walked through a customs checkpoint with her parents, asking innocent questions the way all children do." His voice hardened. "One of your officers struck her, beat her bloody, left her crying on a cold metal floor, and when her family sought justice, you dismissed their case. You called the assault acceptable. You gave her attacker a promotion." He let the silence stretch. "You want to know why Commander is dead? That is why. Not because humans are savage, not because we reject civilization, but because when your institutions fail, when your laws protect abusers instead of victims, we will not simply accept injustice." The ambassador rose from his seat. "This is an act of war. You murdered a citizen." "We executed a criminal," replied calmly. "A criminal your laws refused to punish. A criminal your government rewarded." He paused. "But I understand your anger. I understand that you feel threatened. So let me be very clear about something." He stepped forward, his holographic image seeming to fill the entire chamber. "Humanity does not want war. We came to the stars seeking partners, not enemies. We want to trade with you. We want to learn from you. We want to build something better together." His expression softened slightly. "But we will not sacrifice our children on the altar of diplomacy. We will not watch our young be beaten and accept it for the sake of peace. Some things are not negotiable. Some lines cannot be crossed." He looked directly at the ambassador. "You can choose war. Your fleets are large. Your weapons are powerful. You might even win eventually after millions die on both sides. But ask yourself this: is one dead officer worth that price? Is your pride worth oceans of blood? The ambassador said nothing. His mandibles clicked nervously. Or, continued, we can move forward. We can acknowledge that mistakes were made on all sides. We can create better protections for civilians of all races. We can ensure that what happened to never happens to any child again. He reached down and lifted onto his hip. She wrapped her small arms around his neck, looking at the alien delegates with curious eyes. This child does not hate you, said. She does not want revenge. She wants to grow up and explore the stars and learn about all the wonderful species in this galaxy. She wants peace. His voice dropped lower. But if you choose war instead, every human in existence will fight you. We will fight you on every world, in every system, in every shadow between stars. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day, and we conquered it. Do not think that your fleets frighten us. He smiled, a cold and terrible smile. We were born fighting, but we would rather be friends. He ended the transmission. For 6 hours the council debated. Arguments flew back and forth. Threats were made. Alliances were tested. The hegemony demanded satisfaction. But in the end, cooler heads prevailed. The resolution passed narrowly. New laws were enacted protecting civilians of all species from arbitrary violence. Independent oversight boards would investigate complaints. Officers who abused their power would face real consequences. The hegemony quietly replaced their leadership. The officials who had promoted were demoted. Her name was erased from all public records, the worst punishment in culture. No war came. 10 years passed. Stood at the entrance of the Galactic Diplomatic Academy, the most prestigious school in council space. She was 17 now, tall and confident, with her mother's gentle eyes and her father's quiet strength. She had applied to study relations. Her entrance essay had moved the admissions board to tears. I was 7 when an alien hurt me, she had written. I was 7 when I learned that the galaxy could be cruel and unfair, but I was also 7 when I learned what it truly means to be human. She had walked through the academy's halls, past aliens of every shape and size, and felt no fear. Being human does not mean being violent. It does not mean being cruel. It means protecting those who cannot protect themselves. It means standing up for justice even when the powerful say you should be silent. It means loving fiercely and fighting only when you must. She had chosen her classes carefully. Comparative law, conflict resolution. She wanted to build bridges, not burn them. I want to create a galaxy where no child of any species fears being hurt for asking innocent questions. I want to help build something better than what we have now. But I will never forget the lesson I learned when I was 7 years old. On her first day, a student approached her nervously. He was young, barely an adult by his species standards. His compound eyes showed uncertainty and perhaps a little fear. You are, he said, the human child from the incident. Nodded, yes, and you are. My name is, I wanted to say. He struggled with the words. I am sorry. What Commander did was wrong. Many of us know this. We are not all like her. Looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled, warm and genuine. I know, she said. I never thought you were. Would you like to study together? I hear Professor's class is very difficult. His mandibles clicked in surprise. Then slowly, they formed what passed for a smile among his people. I would like that very much. They walked together toward the lecture hall, human and past and future, enemies becoming friends. Above them, stars burned bright in the endless dark. They had made their point. Now it was time to build something better.